Ah, but it's too low, bro. Can we increase the volume for a minute? So I think the rules of engagements, put your cell phones on mute if possible, or switch it off if you could, as much as possible. Na re kopa le ka tima megala kgotsa le ba mo silenting ka gore ya ka ke buile re mo di roma mo ntse pedi. So I'll wait for the. If you are good, I'm good, sir.
Invitation. Kindly note that ablution facilities are located on your left side as you exit the auditorium. Tonight's show will run for 2.5 hours, from 6 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. Movement within the auditorium will be limited once the show starts. There shall be limited applause. Mobile phones shall be put on silent. There shall be no music or party songs, booing, interruptions, or intimidation of candidates from the audience. You will have a chance to ask questions during the show, and in the interest of time, the questions shall be clear, concise, and to the point. Kindly note that the host is empowered to reject a question that is either convoluted or contains more than just one question. Timekeeping shall be strict and must be respected at all times. Your host tonight is Donald Badisa Seberani, while Seto Mongatane and Professor Delaporte will be the moderators.
Yes, exactly.
Kill the mics of our guests, please. Thank you.
NGOs, in association with the Democracy Dialogue, sponsored by Bosetu and powered by Duma FM and Gabs FM. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2019 Presidential Candidates Debate, and thank you for honoring our invitation. Kindly note that ablution facilities are located on your left side as you exit the auditorium. Tonight's show will run for 2.5 hours, from 6. There shall be no music or party songs, booing, interruptions, or intimidation of candidates from the audience. You will have a chance to ask questions during the show, and in the interest of time, the questions shall be clear, concise, and to the point. Kindly note that the host is empowered to reject a question that is either convoluted or contains more than just one question. Timekeeping shall be strict and must be respected at all times. Your host tonight is Donald Badisa Seberani, while Seto Mongatane and Professor Delaporte will be the moderators. This debate is organized by the Botswana Council of NGOs in association with the Democracy Dialogue, sponsored by Bosetu and powered by Duma FM and Gabs FM. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2019 Presidential Candidates Debate, and thank you for honoring our invitation. Kindly note that ablution facilities are located on your left side as you exit the auditorium. Tonight's show will run for 2.5 hours, from 6 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. Movement within the auditorium will be limited once the show starts. There shall be limited applause. Mobile phones shall be put on silent. There shall be no music or party songs, booing, interruptions, or intimidation of candidates from the audience. You will have a chance to ask questions during the show, and in the interest of time, the questions shall be clear, concise, and to the point. Kindly note that the host is empowered to reject a question that is either convoluted or contains more than just one question. Timekeeping shall be strict and must be respected at all times. Your host tonight is Donald Badisa Seberani, while Seto Mongatane and Professor Delaporte will be the moderators. This debate is organized by the Botswana Council of NGOs in association with the Democracy Dialogue, sponsored by Bosetu and powered by Duma FM and Gabs FM. Ladies and gentlemen, Welcome to the 2019 Presidential Candidates Debate, and thank you for honoring our invitation. Kindly note that ablution facilities are located on your left side as you exit the auditorium. Tonight's show will run for 2.5 hours, from 6 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. Movement within the auditorium will be limited once the show starts. There shall be limited applause. Mobile phones shall be put on silent.
30 seconds to on air, guys.
Or party songs, booing, interruptions, or intimidation of candidates from the audience. You will have a chance to ask questions during the show, and in the interest of time, the questions shall be clear, concise, and to the point. Kindly note that the host is empowered to reject a question that is either convoluted or contains more than just one question. Timekeeping shall be strict and must be respected at all times. Your host tonight is Donald Badisa Seberani, while Seto Mongatane.
It is 6:42 right here at Westwood International Mantwanin Theatre, the 11th of October 2019. From now until 2.5 hours, we are broadcasting live from this auditorium. Welcome to the 2019 Presidential Debates. My name is Donald Badisa Seberani. I am your host. Thank you very much for tuning out to us on. Thank you. Thanks a lot for tuning us, listening to us on Gabs FM and on Duma FM. We are streaming live on many platforms, including BOCONGO website, Facebook page, Duma FM Facebook page, Gabs FM Facebook page, and of course on other multiple platforms. Let me welcome you to the 29th Presidential Debate. The participant this evening, the leader of Alliance for Progressives, Ndaba Gaolathe. We had invited the incumbent President Mokgweetsi Masisi of the Botswana Democratic Party. He is not here. Mr. Biggie Butale for Botswana Patriotic Front is in the building. And from the Umbrella for Democratic Change, we had invited Advocate Duma Boko. He is not in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, the program is as such. We will have opening remarks. Let's welcome our two participants before we go. We will have opening remarks from BOCONGO. If you could, please come to the stage, representing BOCONGO, to give us welcome remarks. And we will have a statement from Bosetu as part of the organization of this. And the debate will start. We will have 12 minutes per candidate, starting alphabetically with Alliance for Progressive, Gaolathe, and then obviously Butale, 12 minutes. I will invite two people who will be running this particular show. I'm just hosting. There are moderators here. I will introduce them to you in a minute. And there's also a journalist being part of this particular conversation. So without further ado, I'd like to bring in from BOCONGO to give us the opening remarks before we continue with the show. Say, we are here. Please.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon or good evening. I'm here to welcome you on behalf of BOCONGO, and we are very thrilled for your overwhelming response to our invitation. So you are very much welcome. We are truly humbled by your presence, especially because this is a momentous occasion for us having a presidential debate. It is an occasion that I think you will be very pleased that we have, together with our partners, organized and put together for your education and also for our enlightenment. The Botswana Council of NGOs is an umbrella organization that represents organizations from all over Botswana. And we are here tonight representing that constituency, the civil society. We are a membership-driven organization. That means that our members are you, the audience, and members that come from all walks of life within Botswana. The presidential debates started way back in the United States around the 1860s. That's when they were held in the United States, and since then the presidential debates have become a cornerstone of our democracy. We are happy and pleased that within Botswana also we've come to cherish this noble practice, that today we are able to hold this presidential debate. These debates are meant to allow the electorates to interrogate, to learn from their leaders, and also to be able to test the mental of the presidential candidates. I'm sure you will agree with me that today's presidential debates will be interesting, enlightening, and also very educative. We have our compatriots here who have put themselves forward to be presidential candidates. And we are pleased and happy that they have put their names forward, and that when we go to the polls on the 23rd, we are going to be putting our hopes in the men and women who have put their names forward to be considered as presidential candidates. Ladies and gentlemen, when we vote on the 23rd, our hopes, our aspirations will be on that ballot. We will be speaking with our ballots after hearing what all the presidential candidates have to offer. I am sure the presidential candidates, even as they consider the audiences, they consider the electorates, they will remember that the ballots are the voices of the people, the voices of those children who have, some of them have had securities being killed, being raped, coming from school. Their families, they will put their votes with the hope that their problems will be resolved. The ballots that will be put there also will be for the hopes of our people, our children, our youth who are unemployed. They will be putting their hopes in those ballot papers, that the leaders, they will address those issues. We will also, with those ballots, be putting our hopes, the many challenges that are facing our nation. Our people have been, some of them killed by elephants, and they want solutions to the human life conflict. So with those few remarks, let me again welcome you and thank our panelists, and thank you all for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice. Actually, the chairman of BOCONGO, Rakaelo Mokombo, thank you so much for those kind words of welcome. And I would like to call upon the Vice President of Bosetu, Mokgweetsi to give us a statement from Bosetu. Thank you, sir, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, dear comrades. I have been asked to make a statement, and I would like to indicate that as Bosetu, like it has been mentioned before, we are the sponsors of this activity, right from when it started as debates in various constituencies. From the infancy of my statement, I want to indicate that Bosetu, which is Botswana Sectors for Educators Trade Union, is a robust, responsive, and responsible trade union that exists to collectively bargain for its members. One of the primary duties of this union is to also represent its members in the workplace grievances. Let me indicate that Bosetu, like other trade unions worldwide, has shifted from the bread and butter issues to also look at the socio-economic and political issues in the country. In fact, I want to state that it is the first trade union to break the virginity of such a discussion. And this has made us to collectively work with partners like Duma and create a platform where electorates can meet their leaders and cross-pollinate ideas. We want to indicate that in the political atmosphere, when elected, leaders sign a contract known as the social contract with their electorates, because there is expectation in areas like education, areas like health, areas like sanitation, and other social services. So it is important that as a trade union, we found it fit and proper to sponsor democracy, to create that forum whereby leaders can account to their leadership, their electorates, can make their promises, which in future, they can be held accountable for that. I want to also indicate that these presidential debates are the first of its kind, and they provide a fertile ground for us as the people of Botswana to listen to our presidential candidates, interrogate them, ask them questions, such that when we cast our ballot, we are pretty sure who is the best candidate to lead this country. We found it fit and proper to contribute in nurturing and maturing our democracy by taking a part in such an occasion. It is our calculation and hope that these debates will create an impact in the way we shall vote in the future. And I'm not passing a vote of thanks, comrade moderator, but a quick eye will pick this fact, either by design or coincidence, I can't tell. We wish you, comrades, a very healthy debate, and the people shall speak on the 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramatewa. Ladies and gentlemen, at 6:55, we can set our watches. The debate is starting. Now, let me do my proper introduction to this particular debate. This debate is organized by Botswana Council of Non-Governmental Organizations, BOCONGO, the Democracy Dialogue, supported by Botswana Sectors of Educators Trade Union, Bosetu, and powered by, of course, by Duma FM and our good friends at Gabs FM. BOCONGO, Democracy Dialogue, and Gabs FM drafted tonight's format, and the rules have been agreed by the campaigns. The 2.5-hour debate will cover various topics, including, but not limited to, foreign policy, the economy, constitutional review, unemployment, poverty, human rights, labor issues, and of course, what I do, the fourth estate or the media, education, social issues, and so forth and so on. You get the drift. Questions in this debate have not been shared rather with the candidates. They were only given topics, as I've elaborated earlier, that will be covered. The audience here in the auditorium, I do believe that we have agreed to remain silent so that we can focus on what the candidates are saying. We will invite you to applaud, however, at any moment, and welcome the candidates. Like I said, Ndaba Gaolathe from Alliance for Progressives, Biggie Butale from Botswana Patriotic Front. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the rules of engagement this evening. We'll start with Ndaba Gaolathe. We'll give him 15 minutes, rather 12 minutes, I beg your pardon. There is a timer in front of them here. We'll be strict with time. They'll be given 12 minutes to present their case this evening. And then I will give Butale also likewise. And I am not alone, like I said. I am joined, please welcome to the stage from Gabs FM. She's been hosting the Gabs FM debates throughout the country in collaboration with the radio station. And I would like to welcome Sito Mungatane to the stage from Gabs FM. Please give her a round of applause. She's not operating tonight alone. She is joined by a man who previously as a chief editor of Duma magazine, and he was the African Bureau part of it. I'm talking about Ms. Dr. Jean-Pierre Delaporte. He is joining us tonight to ask this question. Please welcome Dr. Delaporte. And as we start tonight, I'd like to invite you to take notes so as later on we can ask questions. This round is literally about 48 minutes. We will do two 12-minute sets for Gaolathe and Butale. And then I will throw it to the moderator and some of the journalists who are here. They will introduce themselves as we go along. And then we'll go to social media. And the SMS is coming from the radio stations. And then we'll come to you, the audience. That's for our 25 minutes. And then we'll have closing remarks from the two leaders on the podium tonight as a wrap-up. And I will come back and wrap up the show. Gaolathe, I'd like to welcome you to the debate. Your 12 minutes starts right now.
Thank you. Thank you, Don. May I acknowledge Muruti Butale and the moderators. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I have said it before and I say it today, that Botswana is in a state of do or die, and that despite the many international accolades, our economy is on a sick bed. Almost half of our people are ravaged by or about to sink into poverty. Our young people have lost the fire to dream about what they could become. We are a nation divided between the elite that enjoys our national treasures and the less fortunate. These are, I don't know if we know that the median income of our people in this country is less than 2,200 pula per month, and that most of our citizens live in overcrowded conditions, and they endure poor health facilities and receive a poor education. We continue to be held at ransom by a constitutional dictatorship, a way of governing, a mindset, a culture of secrecy, an elitism that feeds corruption and stunts the creative potential of our people, a mindset that keeps opportunities hidden from our people, and a spirit that holds all our people from reaching out for the best in them. We are in a state of do or die, because if we don't change, we will perish as a nation. If we don't do something fresh, something different, something radical, we will die as a people. We have a responsibility, an obligation, and a duty to tend the tables of this great nation. And I'm here to tell you tonight that our movement, the Alliance for Progressives, offers that path, the path to a new Botswana, a path to rise as a people, a path to do rather than die. Our path of a new Botswana leads to a nation that is the paragon of prosperity and nation building on the African continent. This is a vision that we believe is the vision of all our people. We are indeed in a state of do or die, because this is a vision that cannot wait. It is a time for a new vision, or we sink as a people. In this new Botswana, all our people and their children live a fulfilling quality life, filled with opportunity. Opportunity to acquire skills and acquire knowledge, to invent and reinvent ourselves into valuable resources for this country and this economy, to share in our wealth and to create wealth, to partake and speak freely about the destiny of our people, to know and develop our history, express our languages, express our culture, our dress, our architecture, our literature, our technology, our music with great pride. This new Botswana is a place of opportunities to harness the power of women. Not just harness the power of women, but harness the power of people living with disabilities, to harness the power of the disadvantaged and those, the forgotten communities. This new Botswana is a place of opportunity, a country of opportunity, a land of opportunity. We are a people that will nurture and preserve our environment, our soils, our rivers, our vegetation, and our trees. We are a people that will secure the lives and protect our people, give them quality healthcare, quality education. We believe that our movement, working with a determined nation, can, in the fullness of time, put all our people to work. And indeed, it is our target by the year 2025, that at most 10% of our people will be, 10% would be the unemployment level. We commit to building an economy that will raise the current median income from 5,000 to more than double that, to more than 10,000 in 6 years. In this new Botswana, with its constellation of determined leaders, men and women of integrity, we plan to attract in excess of 10 billion pula over a period of 6 years from investors, from venture capitalists, from multilateral organizations, from entrepreneurs around the world, to embark on investments, but also to embark on what is perhaps the boldest and the most ambitious infrastructure program that this country has ever known. And with these efforts, we plan, and indeed it is our target, to create, by 2026, one company with revenues in excess of 10 billion annually, and at least 10 more companies with annual revenues of 2 billion pula per year. With these investments and with this great, ambitious, and bold infrastructure program, we intend to provide broadband universally and affordably to all our people, high-speed internet, and ensure that at least 60% of our people have basic or are proficient in digital skills. This alone, we believe, will inspire entire business models, particularly in the ICT sector, but as well in other digital businesses and in other traditional businesses. We believe that this will give this country an opportunity to provide its people with access, greater access to quality education and quality health care. The economists tell us that for every 1% extra penetration of broadband, it jacks up productivity by 1%. It jacks up GDP by 1%. And by our own calculations, we believe that Botswana has an opportunity to add, within 5 years, more than 3 billion pula to its economy. These infrastructure plans entail the modernizing and erecting of dry ports, rail extensions to the port areas of this region, port facilities on foreign land, fuel conveyance pipelines, a state-of-the-art airport, a collaborative trans-African fast train, entire new towns, modern city transit systems, a land servicing program, water infrastructure, the dual north-south highways, modern amenities and facilities for crop production and food processing areas, the upgrading of our power grid, the upgrading and expansion of sewage for the ghettos and the forgotten places. This bold and ambitious infrastructure program, we believe, will hire tens and tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people over a 6-year period. A firm idea behind these strategic investments is also to build Botswana as a strategic transport hub, servicing the 277 million population of the Southern African region. We believe that we will augment agriculture and food production to make them two of the top 4 contributors to GDP by adding 100,000 more hectares of land to be plowed in strategic areas. We will open tourism to ordinary pristine areas to ordinary citizens. We will aggressively pursue manufacturing of processed foods, of meats, of leather products, of chemicals, of minerals, of smart transportation. We believe that when we are voted in as the Alliance for Progressives, we will appoint a cabinet that will unite this country based on merit and based on integrity and national interest. We believe that what we want to do is to make government efficient by appointing a chief implementation officer, a chief digital officer, and a chief industrialization officer to ensure that our ambitious programs are pursued. We will appoint 2 major councils, super councils. The one council which focuses on the economy and society, and the other council that focuses on culture, science, and technology. We will craft a new constitution that will ensure that our government is inclusive. We will refine and implement our agenda in the new Botswana to ensure that we make Botswana this bastion of nation building and economic development. And indeed, in conclusion, for us to achieve this vision to be a paragon of prosperity and nation building, it is too bold an ambition to postpone. Its impact on our lives is too high to ignore. and the alternative is too grave to witness. We are in a state of do or die. We must rise together as a people to build this new Botswana, or we sink.
Thank you, Gaolathe, for your opening statement. Your 12 minutes is up. Live from Mantwaneng Westwood International School. The future of Botswana, our offer, is the topic. The Presidential Debate 2019, live on Gabs FM and Duma FM and on different social media platforms. The opening 12 minutes from Gaolathe just ended. We would like to bring in from Botswana Patriotic Front, Biggie Butale. Sir, your 12 minutes starts right now.
I thank you, Raseberani. Let me start first by saluting my good friend, Raitso Gaolathe, our moderators, ladies and gentlemen, listeners at home. It is true that we as the nation of Botswana stand on the cusp of greatness. But again, we run the risk of regression, the risk of going backwards, the risk of losing all the gains that we've made since independence. And I think the great writer Shakespeare summarizes the place where Botswana is at now, the place where we as a nation are standing. And he says that there's a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the tide, taken at the flood, leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves or lose our ventures. We, as the Botswana Patriotic Front, have a clear vision on how we can take Botswana forward, how we can take advantage of this great wave that is before us, this great opportunity to change our government, to change the way we do things, to make sure that Botswana moves from where she is to become a great nation so that we can attain first world status in our lifetime. And we have 4 urgent priorities that I'll be talking about this evening. Firstly is sustainable job creation. Sustainable job creation requires that we do certain things that have to be done so that in the long term we'll be able to employ the thousands of young people that are graduating from our institutions every single year, the great majority of them staying at home. And this is how we can do it. We should hire all the unemployed teachers, reduce class sizes to a figure of 30, and go even further and make sure that we even employ more teachers as teacher aides. We should employ all our doctors and nurses and make sure that every health institution in the country has got a medical doctor. We can dramatically reduce the patient-doctor ratio if we do this. We need to diversify our economy. We need to be strategic in this regard. And we can diversify even within the mineral sector. I believe that there's a lot that can be done to beneficiate what we have. We have to work on our comparative advantage to make sure that we leverage off that and diversify the economy even further away from our mono and mineral-led economy. And one of the ways to do this is to look at what we have in abundance. Obviously, there's the issue of diamonds. We are sold a story, a beautiful story, that diamonds are coming home to Botswana, that Botswana will become a diamond hub. And we were told that when De Beers moves most of its operations from London to Gaborone, Gaborone will become a diamond city. I'm still yet to see the dream. But I believe that a lot more can be done. But you need people with vision, people with passion, people who know what they're talking about, and not people who find themselves in positions of authority merely by chance, merely by accident. And we need also to diversify our coal reserves. We have some of the biggest coal reserves in the world. But the current thought is that we should mine this coal and ship it to China, ship it to India, take it out whole as it is. But coal can be beneficiated to produce many, many, many items that can employ so many of our young people. We've got uranium that is sitting underground, and we are waiting for somebody to come and tell us what to do with this uranium. With the amount of coal we have and the amount of uranium we have in Botswana, we should be a net energy exporter. And the vision is this, that Botswana can light up the whole of SADC. We can light up the whole of Africa. But you need to have visionaries, people who know where they're going and not people who will be just carried by the tide. We need to improve our infrastructure, our rails. My colleague Gaolathe talked about this. The Trans-Kalahari Railway that has been talked about for so many years. The first Botswana to ever talk about the Trans-Kalahari Railway was the great chief Rasekedi Khama, the first. And his vision, even today, is unfulfilled. People are talking about it as if it's a novel idea. The problem is that we are in a state of inertia, unable to move. But we must, lest we lose our venture. We need to up our small-scale industries, light manufacturing, and move on to heavy manufacturing. Botswana is smack in the middle of SADC. We are the most peaceful country in Africa. We have a strong economy. We have all assets at our disposal to make Botswana a first-world country. But what is needed is that drive, that passion, that vision. And I stand here representing a party that has got that drive, that vision, that passion. We need also to leverage on our strong points, on our tourism. We have a magnificent tourism offering that not only comprises the Okavango, not only the Chobe, but even the Kalahari Desert, and even right down here in the south of Gaborone. But we need people who can direct where the nation should move in this regard. We need to modernize our agriculture. Moving on to youth empowerment. Botswana is basically a young country. 60% or more of the population is below the age of 35. And this great youth dividend must be harnessed, because if we do not see it as a positive, it's going to become a national state security threat in the future. Why am I saying this? Because this great asset of young people, if left untapped, if left unutilized, will breed frustration, will breed riots, and things that we are not used to in our country. And to harness this youth dividend, we must overhaul our education system and drag it into the modern 21st century. Government facilities, the schools, must be maintained and not let to be run down as they are now. We have ideas of creating a housing program for young people who are earning less than 10,000 pula a day, because if our people do not have proper accommodation, they will not feel dignified. We feel that we should have an innovative youth funding program, not what we have now that limits the number of young people that can benefit from it. We need to look at the issue of corruption. Our country can move forward or go backwards if we do not look at the scourge of corruption. And I believe I will talk about it later on. We believe in social justice as a party, equity, fairness, and justice. And to achieve this dream, this vision, we need to overhaul and reform our public service. We need to improve the work ethic in our country and productivity. We must once again become a country of meritocracy. We must get rid of red tape and get rid of this inertia where we are talking about things but really never get to have them done. We must, once again, become a country that rewards a merit, a country that is supportive, a leadership that is not antagonistic. And we need to remove the spirit of adversarialism between the leaders and the ordinary people. We believe that we need to have constitutional review where we can have new legislation that comes from the people. They should state what laws they desire to see changed. Still on equity, fairness, and justice, Parliament must become supreme again. It must be independent. Parliament must be able to bring the executive to check, and not the current situation where the executive seemingly rides roughshod over Parliament and over the judiciary. All oversight institutions, all oversight agencies must be genuinely independent and must be answerable to Parliament. And I'm talking about the DIS. I'm talking about the DCEC. I'm talking about BORS that now have become weaponized, and they're being used as political tools to stamp on opposition members and leaders. We need to bring back the dignity of Bohosi. Local authorities must be moved to the office of the president to show that we have great respect for our chiefs. We must continue to have meaningful freedom of the press, a press that will report without any fear or favor. And I tell you, one of the greatest dangers to the press in Botswana is this new phenomenon of having news houses and journalists captured and really becoming pathetic praise singers to the ruling party and government. This is the greatest threat to press freedom that has ever faced Botswana. And we must stand up and say no to media capture. We must stand up and say no to pseudo-journalism and yellow journalism. We must say no to sunshine journalism. Because if we don't, journalism will lose its place in Botswana, and we need it to keep the government in check. We need it to act as the fourth estate after Parliament, after the executive, and after the judiciary. And no amount of words can explain the importance of the fourth estate of journalists to Botswana. And I believe that if we can do all of these things together as a nation, we will be able to ride upon this great wave that will take us onto fortune. And again, I warn, if we stand still and not take up advantage of this unique opportunity of removing this old systems of government, we will remain bound in shallows and in miseries. Thank you.
Thank you, Butale. Your time is done. The presidential candidate of Botswana Patriotic Front, Biggie Butale. These two gentlemen, they are presidential candidates for the first time. I want to get our moderators ready. JP and Seto, I think live from Mankwane Theatre in Westwood here in Gaborone, the future of Botswana, our offer. That is the topic for tonight. Let me tell you something unique about tonight. We were to have, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, yet another 12 minutes for the Botswana Democratic Party. Presidential candidate Masisi, he is not here. 12 minutes for Umbrella for Democratic Change President Duma Boko, he is not here. So that gives us more time to discuss issues with these two gentlemen on the stage. The uniqueness of tonight, the civic society through BOCONGO is here. The labor movement of the Republic of Botswana through Bosetu is here. The fourth estate, Butale just touched on it, Gaolathe passed by it also, is us live on Gabs FM and on Duma FM. Social media is a buzz on what's happening tonight. I'll throw it to Seto and JP to take over. I'll interject if I need to. If I feel a question hasn't been answered, I will come on and ask that question. And then after that, we'll continue with the Q&As And we will bring you the audience and social media, and of course, SMSs. They'll still be driven by the two moderators. Seto, let me hand over to you to take over the show.
Good evening to everybody who's present here, and good evening to you, Botswana Kuchai. Good evening to our candidates, and wonderful statements that we've just put forward. I will start with you, Re Gaolathe. You spoke on Botswana being divided. It is one of the most uninclusive or unequal society. So this plutocracy that you speak to, my question to you is, through the fielding of candidates of the Alliance for Progressives, either at parliamentary level or at local government level, have you shown proper and better representatives of the people of Botswana?
Thank you for the question, Ms. Seto. We would be the first to acknowledge and admit, as the Alliance for Progressives, that we are far from where we need to be in terms of putting women and young people and people from disadvantaged backgrounds. So what we have done is that we have taken a long-term view. And we have taken a long-term view in the sense that the starting point has been our constitution. And in our constitution, we have deliberately put in place a stipulation that says that our target is to ensure that 50% of people in positions within the party and running for positions on behalf of the party should be people from disadvantaged groups, women, and young people. There is a 50% stipulation. The second is that we have taken the long-term view that we need to be aggressive in training and grooming women and young people. And this is exactly what we are doing. Certainly in my campaign is dominated by women. And I am certain that when the time comes to retire, it is going to be a woman who becomes a member of parliament. So the answer to your question is that we believe that we have not done enough as a party because we only have 2 women running as members of parliament. But from a point of view of the long-term approach that we have taken, our party is going to be dominated, in fact, by women and young people.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody, to our listeners here and at home. I would like to put a question to both candidates, if I may, starting with Biggie Butale. It deals with Botswana as a net exporter. Botswana has an internal market not much bigger than a medium-sized city elsewhere in the world. It is difficult to imagine 2 million people being the only source of doubling Botswana's per capita GDP by 2036. Growth requires Botswana to become a net exporter of services and values beyond the globally unstable resource-based economy. What trade agreements and models would you propose that would allow Botswana to become a sustainable gateway into the SADC region, into the unified AU market, and eventually into the world market? Biggie Butale.
Yes, it's true. Botswana has a small population, 2 million people. You're right, it's like a medium-sized city. But all countries that have moved forward, be it America, be it the UAE, be it Singapore, be it Australia or Canada, have been able to do that by allowing a targeted immigration. And with 2 million people, I'm agreed with you that we cannot be serious players because the pool of expertise and people that can make the economy move forward is just too small. And I've always had a dream that we could allow, like I said, targeted immigration. Not just open the borders and say, everybody who's out there, come over and let us populate the country. But being strategic and letting the right people into the country will be able to become this hub that will influence not only Africa and the world. What trade agreements do we need to get where we are? I believe that the current trade agreements like AGOA are there, but they're totally unutilized, mainly because there is no vision. And indeed, where there is no vision, the people perish. Our current leadership are more into managing the diamond resources to make sure that in an election year, they increase salaries 3 times. Never happened before in the history of Botswana. And I don't know any country in the world where you've had 3 separate salary increments on the eve of elections. They are managers. We need to go and vote for visionaries, for people who can. And the Botswana Patriotic Front is populated by such people. Even SACU, South African Customs Union. Botswana can use this customs union to propel itself to greater heights. But what is happening is that you find that South Africa is dictating the pace of everything under SACU. And we are currently, I believe, happy to be receiving the SACU remittances. And South Africa even goes further to say that the monies we receive from SACU are actually aid. Whilst this money is not and cannot be equated with aid. SACU needs to be relooked at. We need to cast our nets wider, look at the whole world, and let it be our stage.
Thank you, Butale, Gaolathe. Your thoughts on that?
Botswana has a very small population, as Dr. Pierre has already indicated. That means that the fortunes of our economic fortunes lie on export, building the capacity, building capabilities to produce products and services for export. That is why at the heart of our strategy, at the heart of our philosophy, at the heart of our approach as the AP, is that we have identified sectors that we believe have potential for export. And we need deliberate government intervention to grow these sectors. One of those sectors is our culture. Our musicians, our artists have tremendous potential. Our creative industry. What we need to do is first build the infrastructure so that they are facilitated and packaged, and build the institutions like the BTV so that it becomes international, and it has billion pula budgets which can finance and create this industry. Diamond and other mineral beneficiation. Again, we bring in companies, joint venture with them, and create billion pula global companies. Create a few of them so that we create an ecosystem that can then create an ecosystem of small SMEs that feed these global companies, that supply them, that these global companies also determine the standards. So the types of agreements that we need to make with other countries, particularly Africa in the north, we need to collaborate in terms of building the infrastructure so we facilitate trade and investment in those countries. We have we need to have arrangements and agreements and incentives so that our investors, our venture capitalists, our private equity firms can invest in those countries and collaborate and build joint global companies with those countries. We need agreements that give us access to raw materials that we can beneficiate in those countries. The fortunes of our country, Botswana, is based on becoming an international player.
Thank you, Gaolathe. If I may, Dr. Pierre, let me piggyback on your question. When you read any international report, be it the World Bank, at Davos last year, it was one of the biggest topics. Our finance minister, Matambo, last year's budget, he spoke about it in his budget speech. There are fears of the US-China trade war. There is also fear of Brexit. How do we, as a country, to the both candidates, position ourselves to not find ourselves in the melting pot of these wars? Even this week, we've realized even today there has been an attack in an oil reserve in Iran. We've known about Saudi Arabia just a couple of weeks or 3 weeks ago. How do we position ourselves as a country to make sure that we don't find ourselves in this trade wars that are happening across the globe? Starting with you, Butale.
Yes, Botswana's foreign policy for the past 53 or so odd years has generally been one of trying to live amicably with our neighbors and other players in the global community. And I think this pragmatic foreign policy we must continue with it because it didn't just start over the past 53 years. Botswana has always been a relatively weak country surrounded by stronger neighbors. Even before colonialism, the colonialism era, we had our neighbors in the south, the Zulus, that came in often, followed by the Dutch. And we've always had to juggle between these strong superpowers, and we've survived thus far. And with this institutional memory, I think we will be able to navigate between our relationships with China on the one hand and America on the other. Having said that, when we choose who our friends are, who our true allies are, we should look at those countries with whom we have certain values, certain common values that we hold dear to ourselves. And these being democracy, good governance, and so on and so forth. And I will not really say between this superpower and that superpower where we should gravitate. On Brexit, the United Kingdom has a long history with Botswana, and they are our colonial masters, and we've adopted a lot of things from the UK, and I believe that we've always maintained a very good and healthy relationship with them. Now, should the unexpected happen and the UK breaks away from the European Union, I believe that it would be in our best interest to once again, move with those players that we have more in common with than those that we don't.
Thank you, Butale. Gaolathe, let me allow you to comment on that question.
Yes, thank you. I think the starting point is we need to understand what the implications of these trade wars are. If you have a trade war, for instance, between the United States and China, what happens is that the world and the globe has become part of what is called service and product value chain. And Botswana, like many other developing countries, export and provide certain raw materials and certain imports to China, so that China, being a high value producer and exporter, uses these imports from developing countries. So when there are trade wars, what happens is the United States then doesn't buy Chinese products and services. That means China doesn't export much. That means China doesn't buy much from Botswana and other developing countries. So what do we need to do? Unfortunately, we cannot avoid trade wars. So what we need to do as an economy is that we need to make first, we need to make our economy competitive. When we make our economy competitive, that means that whatever we produce, regardless what happens to other countries, we will always have other people to buy our products and services. Second is, it also means that we need to diversify what we produce and what we export. And when we diversify our risk, so that what happens in different countries, we are able to adopt and adapt. And the final thing that we need to do is, of course, to establish intimate relationship. We need to have an exquisite foreign policy. And we at the Alliance for Progressives believe that we are too small to have too big a voice. So therefore, we have to be very pleasant to everyone, very nice to everyone. We have to be liked by everyone, so that whatever happens, whoever has wars, we are able to go to America and say, hey, right, so kana go thatanyana ko gae. And go to China and say, kana le re tsentse mo motlapiso. So building these relationships is an important part of it. Making our economy more competitive is an important part of it. Diversifying our economy is an important part of it. That is why we say we want to build these global companies to create a whole ecosystem of SMEs that are diversified, that are cutting edge, and we are ahead of innovation and the knowledge and the creative economy.
Thank you, Gaolathe.
Gentlemen, I like that Resi Berani has asked the first part of the question that I was going to ask on foreign policy, but I will factor the second part in. Re Butale, you were speaking on equity, fairness, and justice. Re Gaolathe, you spoke on inclusion. But I want to know, as we have all established, how vague our foreign policy is. But I want to bring it to, in terms of human rights. Botswana has a very bad human rights record, and it has been playing riverbank with the signatories of